Good morning. My name is Reverend Pharrell Malone. I'm with the Justice Initiative based out of Waycross, Georgia. We're here in Valdosta, Georgia today to basically bring light to travesty that has taken place that has not been properly addressed. I'm here with the law firm of Copeland and Huggerbrook and Walker, along with our lead investigator, Mr. Trevor Berry, concerning the case of Mr. Antonio Smith. First of all, I want to acknowledge the fact that this law firm has taken the case, and this law firm has also asked for the resignation of the mayor, Scott James Matheson, because he let the citizens of Valdosta down when he aligned himself with the police department rather than the side of justice. Matheson's lack of leadership and inability to engage law enforcement and leaders in matters of discussion that would make Valdosta a better place to live for everyone. He compromised his ability to serve as mayor. As such, he should resign if he truly loves the city of Valdosta. Valdosta is a tourist community, home to Wild Adventures, Splash Island Water Park, Bay Life, a wildlife area, and so many other attractions. It's also the home of Valdosta State University and 11K plus students. Here's the question for the mayor. Giving the police treatment of Antonio Smith and Kendrick Johnson and others, is Valdosta a safe place for black people? As a black man and as a father, should I view Valdosta as a place to safely bring my family vacation, as I've actually done so many years? It's close to Waycross. I was able to come over to Valdosta, enjoy the amenities. But now the question is, would I feel comfortable sending my children to study here? Under his leadership, I am not sure. Separately, there are a few bright spots. Number one, Antonio Smith is alive. He's alive. Shaken, yes. Recovering from a broken arm, yet he did survive the encounter with the police. He is alive. He is alive. He's shaken, but he is alive. My concern is, why did it take the mayor and the city of Valdosta 5 months to begin to address this? We, the investigator, the attorneys, members of the community are here together, united in our call for justice and accountability for Mr. Smith and many more like him. My question today is, as we lead into this discussion, into this press conference, we want to make sure that justice is served, and that justice is brought out. In this era, when Ahmaud Arbery situation happened in February, this situation happened in February as well. Mr. Smith was wrongly arrested. The Valdosta Police Department did not go through the precautions of getting the correct person. His arm, his wrist was broken, and he is yet shaken. I'd like to turn it over to the lead investigator, Mr. Trevor Berry, who will then lead in with the attorneys.
Trevor Berry, investigator. This makes no sense. I was just with the family of Mr. George Floyd in Minnesota a couple of weeks ago. Attorney Stewart and Attorney Miller, the Stewart trial attorney handling that case. Now I'm here in Valdosta, Georgia, less than 50 miles from where I grew up in Thomasville, Georgia, and we're dealing with the same scenario. The difference is, things take place at night. You have police officers that there's video footage and things are going wrong in broad daylight. They have to be held accountable. Justice has to be served regarding these officers. And I'm here standing with the attorneys and Pastor Malone to make sure that we seek justice regarding whatever resources are needed, they're available. And we're 1,000% in to make sure that we do what we need to do to make sure that these guys are held accountable. The mayor needs to be held accountable. The police officers need to be held accountable.
The
chief needs to be held accountable. Thank you.
Good morning. The question that has been posed to us over and over again is, what is it that you want to see in this case? The simple answer is, we want to see justice for Mr. Smith. We want to see a situation where every African American man, woman, boy, girl, every person of color can walk down the street, fall asleep in their car, sit in their home without being killed, without being injured, without being mistreated and treated less than a human being by law enforcement who are charged with, who took an oath to serve and protect. And that applies to every citizen of the United States. Now, how do we get there? We get there through police reform, criminal justice reform. We get there through having community civilian boards set in place that will review police action and inaction, citizen complaints, and any other misdeed that law enforcement engage in. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what we seek in this case.
When we talk about police reform, I think it is critical that we first look at how individuals are selected for the police force. I don't believe that fundamentally you can change the mindset of a police department until you look at how and whom you're recruiting. I think in the recruitment process, you have to look at questions of whether or not a person's morally fit to be a police officer. I think you got to look at that person's psychological profile. The mere fact that a person can go to a mandate academy and have a high school diploma and therefore becomes qualified to be an officer really begs the question. Are these people capable of protecting and serving populations that they probably are not very acclimated to? The culture change starts at the beginning. Reform starts at the beginning. It cannot start midway. The mere discharge of the mayor, the mere discharge of the police chief only partly serves a problem. That's a stopgap measure that doesn't address the fundamental underlying problems you have with people who protect and serve us. The underlying problem is, how do we recruit them, and under what circumstances do we allow them to carry weapons such as guns, tasers, billy clubs, etc. In addition to that, we can have citizen review boards to look at problems. But again, once the problem's started, all you can do is take action against those officers. Now, with respect to this department, Valdosta PD, I think there has to be a change at the top. Change frequently starts at the top, but it doesn't end there. In addition to that, I think the mayor, because of his position, which is absolutely unfounded, if he had any ability to review that tape carefully and analyze it in light of the facts. I think the tape has to be analyzed in juxtaposition against what was actually reported. I think if you look at the incident reports by the officers, they don't necessarily comport what is seen on the videotape footage. I think it's important that mayors, police chiefs, police officers be truthful. Part of the problem with this whole process is a lack of transparency and a total dismantling of the truth.
It is clear that in the 21st century, and particularly in the climate that we're in now, that every officer, every police department must take a approach that is universal. And that universal approach is this: you must realize we are the citizens of your city, and you are here, as they've said for years, to protect and to serve. We were extremely disturbed by what appeared to be a tone-deaf response from the administration of this city. And all too often, cities the size of Valdosta, they take and dismiss what we see in media, what we see on television, as a big city problem. As we are standing here today, it is clear that this is not a big city problem. This is a universal problem that is at the core of civil rights, that is at the core of humanity. One of the common terms that you hear in cases like this is, would a reasonable officer understand that this was wrong for them to do this activity? Is there a policy? Is there a pattern? Is there a custom? Is there a practice? Every person that I've spoken to said, how in the world, why, what happened? I'm an attorney. I watched the video before any of you saw the video, and I was shocked. And as an attorney, all of my partners, we do criminal work, so we see a lot on a day-to-day basis. We do a lot of civil rights work, and this was egregious at best. So we must demand first First, that we look at our laws, that we look at our ordinances, that we hold our city council responsible, that we hold our mayor responsible, and that we do what is necessary to say to our city, we are citizens of this city, we expect the same civil rights that the Constitution provides in this city through the 4th and the 14th Amendment. We want equal protection clauses, and that is necessary, and that's why we are so disturbed and demand a culture change in the police department and demand a culture change in our current administration.
The essence of where we are today is the fact that in America, in 2020, we find this not only happening in larger cities, but in a city like Valdosta, Georgia. And there has to be a culture change. There has to be a deliberate change in a systemic problem that allows for white supremacy to advance and allows for this type of activity not only to happen, but the egregious part is that it has happened in the light of media, it has happened in the light of a body cam, and it happened in the light of the mayor having this since March 23rd. Of course, the police chief, who's the former of the president, had it before then. And the fact that it took a lawsuit to be filed in order for them to even begin to address it says that they have lacked the responsibility of being citizens for all of the citizens of Valdosta, Georgia. So it is at this point that the Justice Initiative and all of us together, of course, with this awesome law firm, are demanding, number one, that the mayor resign. Number two, that the police chief either do one of two things: resign and or turn it over to the Department of Justice. Where is the district attorney on this? Where are we in the aspect of this officer being fired, being charged because they arrested the wrong man? That means that they did not use the intellectual properties available to them to identify who the person was that they were to talk to and to bring into custody. They arrested the wrong man, immediately dropped him to the ground. He's suffering from it right now, not just from an arm, but from the process in the city that he lives in and has been a part of. And those who have been sworn to protect him were the ones who basically violated his rights. And then for the city, the police department, to do nothing about it is egregious within itself. So I want to thank the law firm. I want to thank the law firm of Copeland and Huggenberg and Walker for their advanced methods of filing a lawsuit and moving forward.
Before we close out, one thing that we want to make sure that everyone understands, and it's as Pastor Malone just mentioned, back when this happened in February the 8th of this year, shortly after that, on March the 20th, we sent to the city, addressed in a certified letter to the mayor, to the city manager, as well as to the chief of police, what we call an ante-litem notice, giving them notice of this incident and what happened and the egregiousness of it. Not only did we put it in writing, but we sent the 11-minute video that everyone has viewed across this nation along with that ante-litem notice. So there is no excuse that the leadership in this great city were not aware of what happened to Mr. Smith. Regardless of what the report said that was written by each of the officers, which skewed the facts greatly, they saw the 11-minute video in February, and they certainly got it by certified mail that they each signed for on March the 23rd. Thank you. God bless you.